Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the root of his name, but I can tell you what I call him. I call him Chamaco, which means like young lad, basically.
I like that.
Yeah. But it sounds like it, like Chamaco. So I'm not sure if that's where he brings it from, though.
That's cool. I know that mate in Russian is Braton. So now every single Russian I meet on the ladder, I'm like, what's up, Braton? And then I know how to say young Braton as well.
Nice. Yeah, chamaco is just a Mexican word, not so much for all of Latin America, but any Latin American would understand what it means. So,
okay. Cool.
Right.
You think we're going to see roaches, or do you think he's going to bust out some Muta Link Bane here in game 1? I think this is a decent map for Muta Link Bane, especially if you can get those rich Vespian guys up and running.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I agree with your assessment, by the way, that Cham is a very min-maxi player. So I think he's the type of player that is willing to take that kind of base and kind of abuse everything that the map gives him and try to maximize risk-reward, essentially. So we'll see if he chooses to do that and if his snowball works. Kelazhur is the type of player that will press on any advantage that he has and that will be consistently aggressive as well. So it's going to be a tug of war no matter what.
Reaper fast expand on the side of our Terran, which obviously is very standard. And we're, well, there is a chance that maybe on Submarine we'll see like a triple barracks opening, right? We might see him go Mass Reaper, even though the last few times I saw it, it didn't go very well. But we know that Kelazhur loves his Reapers and he's still pretty damn good with them.
Yeah, I think he's one of the best. I always like to give props to him and Euthermal. Obviously, Clem in recent history, perhaps outdoing them both with the Reapers, but I think in the foreign scene, he's always been one of the stronger micro players. That's huge.
Oh, yeah, well, that's huge as well.
Oh.
You don't see that very often. What a start. An explosive start. Reaper gets a drone kill, but the Zerglings trap the Reaper.
Yeah, very well done. Very difficult to do, as you were pointing out, but on creep was his best shot. Cham capitalizing, and I'm happy with that trade if I'm him. Look at the links as well and how methodically he's positioning them in case there is a follow-up Reaper.
We know there isn't. Instead, Kelazhur is playing triple command center at home. Now, taking a look at the overlords, it seems like Cham has only sent a single overlord to the other side of the map, and that's just chilling on top of this, a zombie grub would say, pervert pillar. So it can keep an eye on any Hellions leaving one of these two realms.
Yeah, that is one of the things that I like about this map, is it dares to have the pillars a little bit further out. Whereas most maps just have it floating over the natural base. So that is one thing where the Overlord collects a little bit less information early on, but, you know, gets access to two pathways at once as well safely. So there's kind of pros and cons. I think it's maybe the most interesting dynamic in this map, because I don't think the fast zones really do much here.
No, the fast zones don't, but I always thought the double rich Vespian guys were still a little underutilized. Like, I think people really underestimate how much of a boost it gives you and how many sick things you can do while, you know, if you have a double rich Vespian gas, you can all of a sudden make things work that normally don't work for whatever reason they don't work, just because the numbers scale so differently when you've got such an insane gas income.
Yeah, definitely. It does telegraph things like Muta. In this matchup, like for Protoss, the gas is so valuable. For Terran, I mean, they don't care at all, almost usually, unless they're maybe going mech. And for Zerg, you would pretty much have to commit to something like Muta Link Bane or revert to Heart of the Swarm and play Mass Infestors or something of the likes. I guess Ravagers could still be a thing as well. They're very gas intensive, so yeah, maybe there's a lot that the Zerg can do. They are pretty far away though, those bases, so not easy to pick for sure.
It's almost a hidden base at this point. You take it very early on. You know what I like to use him for? It's not very relevant to the game we're currently casting, but in PvP, if my opponent goes for a quicker expand and it's a Phoenix battle, I'm like, all right, you have a quicker expand, then I just take my natural at the double rich Vespian gas. More gas is pretty useful in a Phoenix battle.
Yes, indeed.
Wait, why do we have 4 eBays being built? That's 2 more than I normally see.
Yeah, that's too many for sure. I think he just didn't notice that he built the eBays at the front. Maybe he built them at the front a little bit faster than he usually does. So this is a pretty big blunder on the side of Kelazhur.
Yep. They all finish up as well. And I mean, the saddest thing is that he's actually getting the upgrades at the one in the front. The cloakless Banshee in the main base is actually getting 5 kills. That's a lot. For a Banshee without cloak, that's one hell of a start for Kelazhur.
Yeah, really, really strong with a single queen there. Cham is not able to push the Banshee fast enough. And Kelazhur, I mean, with minimum investment also at the front, right? So even though he did make those evays, it's kind of an even game on the back of his damage here. It's doing pretty well.
Can he get more upgrades at once?
Nah, they're all useless, I think, right? Past the 1-1. Let's see. Neo Steel Armor and high-sec auto-tracking.
Hey,
oh, you don't want those.
What are we waiting for?
Yeah.
That'd be so sick. Imagine if you just join the game and you see those 4 upgrades at once, 6 minutes into a TVZ. You're like, what? What are they doing in Latin America?
I remember, was it your brother that had the very early turret sniping overlords? Maybe.
It's like the first game of StarCraft he ever played. I was like, because he just beat me in Red Alert, and I was really upset. I was like, let's just play one game of StarCraft 2, because he was dropping nukes and being annoying. I was like, all right, I'm gonna ghost rush him. So I proxy a barracks, I fly it into his main. In 2 minutes and 47 seconds, he's got a turret on the edge of Abyssal Reef, and I'm like, what?
I remember this. Yeah, it was so funny.
All right, yeah, that was a great clip. I had to delete it, unfortunately, but I got it saved on a hard drive. So it was really fun. All right, this is a proper push already, and Cham's got 2 Banelings at this point. I gotta say, 2 Banelings ain't a whole lot.
Yeah, it's really not, and this is, like you were saying, a proper push, and it's not without a backbone either. Kelazhur has a very healthy economy behind this. Cham now with the Muta, however, it is a good timing for those Muta to pop, because that means that he can actually punish and potentially kill this army. If he's able to do that and reset the army count for Kelazhur, then he will have free reign to be as greedy as he wants. Kelazhur very smartly making a beeline towards the rocks. That's gonna be the fastest way to save what he has.
Yeah, Cham was thinking that he's like, oh, maybe I can just run around and still engage all these Marines, and I am glad to see that he disengaged there. And he's going to send his Mutas to the other side of the map. I don't know if he's looking for pickups. By the way, I love how Kelazhur uses one eBay in the front and one in the back of his main. This is so random.
Yes, indeed. All right, so these Mutas are trying to find what they can, just picking off units. Kelazhur is still with a massive force on the other side. Baneling speed is not yet done.
Nowhere near done even, but the Marines are going a little too far forward. He needs to pick it up, and he does pick it up. I gotta say, not the best Widowmine shot ever. The Mutas have retreated as well, so they're gonna try to jump on top of these medevacs. I gotta say, Kelazhur really could have done a lot better with his push so far.
Yeah, advancing onto creep a little bit carelessly. If you want to do that, you definitely at least want to spread your units. And now with Cham on the cleanup, he's going to kind of stabilize, and he finds a position where he really can be as greedy as he wants. The one bad thing for Cham is the lack of creep, I think.
How did they clean up the Widowmine? Sorry. He sent the Overseer a bit too far away, so I actually thought that we're going to see a massive Widowmine hit. In the end, Cham just sacrificed a couple of Banelings. Obviously not the most cost-efficient thing to do, but it's better than letting those mines shoot and blow up half of your Zergling army. Yeah, I mean, Kelazhur is still in it. He's down 17 workers. Does find a couple of Mutas there, or at least one of them. Oh, I could have taken the second one as well. We are going to get Drilling Claws, and we have a Thor on the way as well. The upgrades are so late for Cham, though, no? It's going to be 2-2. No, what? Why is he picking up? That's crazy.
That is crazy indeed. At least he has the presence of mind to use the medevacs with the most HP there. Kelazhur is a very methodical player in that sense. He's always looking for the little details. But Cham is in a very strong position. I do like the composition that Kelazhur is going for, and I do like his upgrades, obviously. He's at 2-2, you just mentioned it. I think this is a huge edge.
Yeah, imagine being able to fight while being 4 upgrades ahead. I mean, I know Banelings are always good if they connect, but if you're 4 upgrades ahead, you should be able to get a couple of really good fights. These Widow Mines will not fire once. Well done there by Cham. Kelazhur has like way too many units in his natural at this point.
Yeah, and the Thor was there as well. The Thor is gonna help to zone out the Muta, make it so that they can clump, and Cham is gonna jump on the 4th base and take it down from Kelazhur. What a great decisive move.
Yep. Kelazhur did have 60 Marines on the top side of the map, so he's gonna try to do a little bit of counter damage, but we saw him F2 there. And now he's gonna resend these Marines in, and once again with the upgrades that they have, they can really deal a lot of damage here. 18 drones go down just like that. And I actually think this hatchery could be in a lot of trouble as well. This hatch is going to fall, cats.
Yeah, and I don't like that Cham is pulling back here. I mean, he maybe feels like he has to, but it's a huge army that he's pulling back. And this now the game kind of flips, where Kelazhur has all the freedom to expand, to move out, to take control of the map, and to kind of establish his lead.
Yep. Cham does, of course, have a backup base on the left side at 9 o'clock, so he can kind of just transfer a bunch of drones there, and he did immediately start his 2-2 upgrades, which I'm very happy to see about. Otherwise, he would have been in even more trouble if 3-3 finishes up, and then he's still working with 1-1. That was a big loss, though. I mean, for all the good that Cham did on Kelazhur's side of the map, I think he took a lot of damage at home, and I actually think I'm still kind of preferring Kelazhur's position here, especially with no infestation pit and no hive tech on the way.
Yeah, I think compositionally, most important, Kelazhur is ticking all the right boxes. I mean, he's doing well on upgrades, but mines and Thors are so very difficult to engage with when you have Mutiling Bane. So Cham is gonna have to rely on counterattacks. And what I would love to see, look at that bunker, that's brilliant. Like, leave a bunker, leave a few units, maybe a mine, or maybe even a Thor here and there, and move out, because it's so difficult to engage. And
one of the eBays
atheists on those eBays, yeah.
Yeah, and he found one of the working ones, and Kelazhur's like, I know it, I'm going to use the ones in the front. I was wrong, by the way, there was an infestation pit, so hive tech is on the way at this point. Amy's going to try to crash into this, planetary fortress, but good news for Kelazhur is that it wasn't done morphing into a planetary fortress yet, so he could actually cancel it and lift it and save the command center.
Yeah, and that's a lot of Baneling spent on that. Meanwhile, these mines are doing well on the other side of the map, and 12 additional workers have gone down to them. So Cham is trying to find whatever room to work with here. Is Kelazhur gonna give it to him? There's only one bunker, no mines or Thors here as an anchor for this base. So Kelazhur is gonna be forced to pull back and clean this up.
Kelazhur should just fight with Marines. Like, he's got such a big upgrade advantage. There's no way he's going to take 4 fights here. Widow Mines! Oh, good job there by Cham avoiding those. But I have the feeling that Cham is starting to put himself in a rather troublesome position, as he's going to try to take out this command center as well. But once again, it's like 80% done morphing, and Kelazhur is like, well, I guess I'll morph it into a planetary fortress a little bit later.
Yes, indeed. Drilling claws are going to come into play here as some Banelings go down. There is still a lot of Link Baneling, but they don't manage to get the surround as Kelazhur slips through.
Some great multitasking now by Cham, as the Mutas did come back as well, and they started working on that orbital command. They won't be able to take it down, but he's going to try to take out the planetary. Gets 1920 SCVs, takes out the planetary as well. I mean, obviously this wasn't cheap. It was very expensive. But hey, he did deal a lot of economic damage in the last minute of this game.
Yeah, this was actually amazing for Cham. I mean, Kelazhur is effectively on 2 base for this entire time. And now I love that he has left 4 Widow Mines to defend one of the areas. There was a Thor there as well. Oh God, that was great. So he still has a chance of stabilizing, though. He is moving across the map with a lot of his army. This Muta's not being paid attention there for a second. Cham a few.
Cham is in trouble now. He just threw away way too many units. He didn't even get the orbital to make things even worse. I feel that Kelazhur shouldn't go back. I feel like at this point, just keep going. I mean, look at the army. It's 137 army supply against 74. A couple of random Mutas shouldn't be that intimidating. Just go for it, Kelazhur. Your army is at this point way more powerful than the army of Cham.
Yeah, I think he's maybe waiting for the buffer of those Marauders with his entire army coming through. I am with you. I think it would have been a great mistake to disengage and to move back. Kelazhur needs to make something happen right now, because otherwise he's not going to be able to recover economically. He needs to continue to do damage, and he knows it. He's pushing on forward now, Roddy, as Cham sets up for a big surround.
Yep, but it's just Lings and Banes though, so you don't just need to get good connections, you need to wipe out this Terran army. And I have the feeling that's never going to happen. Some buyer will always survive. We even have a couple of Overseers morphing now as well, but the Mutas are no more. Those 6 Mutas are the only Mutas that are out on the map at this point.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very difficult to clean this out. Here come the Banelings. Here's the last effort of Cham, who seemed to have grabbed a grip of control on this game. He's now in dire straits trying to fight for his life as the reinforcing Marines for Kelazhur will trickle in, and that'll be it. Kelazhur takes a very exciting game 1.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, proper fireworks. In the end, Cham lost 30,000 resources against the 16,000 of Kelazhur. I gotta say, I think Kelazhur was a bit sloppy the first 2 times he attacked, especially that initial attack. There were 2 Banelings. I mean, like, a few more were morphing in the back, but literally 2 Banelings. He still got surrounded. Those Banelings got connections. That was a bit of a shame, because not just once, but twice with that second push as well. I think there was way more potential in his army, but his Marines were going a bit too far forward and getting way too close to those banes. But the fact that he hung in there, even while opening up with 4 engineering base, hey, that's
Yeah, that was pretty great from him. I completely agree with you on that first attack. I mean, he tried to push forward and clean some creep, but he didn't really get set up in a way where he would at least trade efficiently or effectively. Like sometimes you want to layer those Marines so that you have a fallback army, or so that they don't all get cleaned up by the same couple of banelings. So a little bit sloppy, but he recovers well. On the side of Cham, I think that he did a lot of things right as well. And if Kelazhur wasn't able to capitalize right away, then, you know, he was running away with it pretty shortly thereafter.
I actually feel that Cham got really unlucky that twice he tried to blow up a planetary that wasn't a planetary yet. And that's the only reason that base lived. Because if it was a planetary, it obviously can't take off anymore. Then I think those banelings just roll in. And at that point, it's so much easier to really understand where you're at in this game as well. Because you're, all right, I took care of this base, I took care of this base. Now he has to come to me. But if you only kill SCVs and then you just see it floating away, you're like, damn it, now I gotta go again. Now I gotta go again. And it just makes for a very different game.
Yeah, I think Kelazhur had opportunities to stabilize on the back of that, where he could kind of say, okay, I can still play a macro game. That was a lot of banelings type thing. I can still fortify my locations. Those 4 Widow Mines as well killed so much of the army of Cham when he was trying to go back for that 4th base. So that is kind of how I want to see TVC against, in particular, Mutiling Bane played, with leaving some mines behind, some bunkers, maybe a Thor. It's, you know, it's a very difficult decision to make as a Terran because you feel like you're weakening your army, but we saw it. It's very difficult to engage this army composition as a Zerg just straight on.
It took a long time, but eventually we got a couple of great Widow Mine hits in that game. Like the initial mine hits, I was like, well, they either didn't fire or they did more friendly fire and they really dealt damage to the Zerg army. But those 4 mines near the orbital, I mean, it basically made the Muda count irrelevant at that point. Alrighty, guys. That means that this man is now up 1-0 and is 1 map away from making it into the playoffs of DreamHack Masters Winter Latin America. This is Kelazhur.
Bottom right-hand side, the best Zerg in Mexico, nay, Latin America. It is Cham.
I would even go as far as say he's the best Zerg in all of the Americas.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm trying to think here. Maybe Silky? It's no Scarlet.
Scarlet lives in Canada. That's not America. When I say all of the Americas, I draw the line at Canada, okay?
Okay. Well, in that case, yeah.
I hear no America in Canada, mate. Like, there's an America in the USA, in South America, but no America in Canada.
Pretty standard opening here on the side of Cham. Same for Kelazhur. Of course, the Reaper is going to be a little bit faster than normal. I'm not sure if there's... I think this is the fastest path for the Reaper. I know that on some maps, you have to rally it individually. Like, the barracks has to do an extra rally to get to the fastest path. I've learned this from Future. He's very methodical about that. I imagine Kelazhur would also know, but there's a lot of pros that don't seem to do it.
Yeah. I feel like you've shared this story before. I chuckled at it as well. I still enjoy listening to it. I was like, To be honest, like a Reaper like only needs like a 2.5 seconds to potentially kill another worker, right? Because they fire. Reapers fire so quick.
Yeah, when they arrive like a couple seconds earlier, they're really a lot more a lot scarier, and especially on a short map like this, every second counts. Yep. So let's see what the Reaper is able to find here. Last time it was a drone, but it cost him his life. This time he's gonna find 2 Zerglings and drones already exposed. So let's see what Kelazhur can do.
Oh, that's 1 Zergling going down already. Obviously, because Submarine is so small, this Reaper does show up very quickly, and it's a bit harder to keep your drones alive. I think we'll see a 2nd Zergling go down. Indeed. Can we get a drone as well? That's the big question. Queen is almost out. That's a perfectly placed grenade. Can we get the drone? Yes, we can. What a start for Kelazhur.
Yeah, 3 Zerglings as well. So those are units that Cham might have to remake. And that is one of the features of this map. There's so much ground to jump with the Reapers. Whoa, this could be cute!
Oh my goodness! MVP. Do you hear the audience, cats?
I heard it all over, Roddy. It's 5 kills on this boy. He's doing so good. purple heart?
Well, I think we're getting a little carried away, but
No purple heart. Okay, what does he need to do for a purple heart? He would complain.
snipe
He'd
the
be
hatchery.
like, what? Snipe the hatchery. Yeah.
Oh, can we get a second drone though? No, almost. It's kind of funny how the drone morphed into a spore when it was too late already. All right, so Cham is going to drop the Roach Warren, so we are going to see him aim for some Roach play here in game 2. Kelazhur on the other end is actually going for a good old 2-1-1 opening, and I gotta say, I kind of like that against Roach builds.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that would make me feel more confident would be maybe something like a quick Banshee. But otherwise, I think this is a pretty good opener for Kelazhur. He's not being overly greedy. He's not dropping a third command center. He's gonna have a very good chunk of units by the time Cham has to commit to a strong, potentially Ravager Ling all in.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't actually sure if Cham was gonna all in or not, but you seem to be pretty sure, and I think you're right, because that's 8 roaches on the way, and that might actually show up before Stim is done. But obviously, I think if Kelazhur can just get like 2 bunkers up, you buy some time. He's dropping an armory instead. That's not really what he needs. It seems like Kelazhur isn't really thinking about the roach all in yet.
Yeah, there is a point. There is a point where you don't have to completely all in. That is to say, but it's a very committed attack at the very least, right? So, let's see what it can get done. But sometimes Surge do transition out of this into droning if they manage to do enough damage.
Now he knows, but this is very late because the first roach is about to show up already. At least the Zerglings are going to get roasted. Can we get a temporary full wall off for Kelazhur? Stim is 80% done though. I mean, I do really believe in Stim bio against roaches.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty good, especially if those bunkers can finish. The first roaches are arriving. They're not Ravagers yet. They're trying to take some damage to be as efficient as possible, but that's going to cost them some time as well. Now the Ravagers are joining the fray, but the 2 bunkers in the back are going to finish. There's also the medevacs out for Kelazhur. That's going to increase his army's survivability, I guess you could call it. And I'm not disliking this for the Brazilian.
No, I think it's an easy hold actually. Like, I think as long as you don't get too carried away, like you don't even really need to fight away from your bunkers. If you have 2 bunkers, you don't need to be here. But Kelazhur truly believes, does a good job in avoiding those crosser balls as well. Can we save the depots? I almost feel like at this point it's worth trying to save your depots. But he's up 15 workers, Cat. All that Kelazhur needs to do is not die, and then he's going to win this game convincingly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like that he's trading because he's leveraging the medevacs as well, right? Like he's trading HP ideally for units, and he's gotta try to do this. If it all goes south, he can always pick up or retreat to those bunkers. No, he doesn't want to take 2 cost-inefficient trades. Does manage to find his way into those bunkers, and this is looking increasingly difficult for Cham. There is a Liberator, not my favorite unit to make against Ravagers.
Well, I mean, at least it actually gets a shot off. No, obviously a Banshee would be a lot better, but it's still nice. It makes things a bit more complicated. Gets the kill, gets the second shot off as well. I mean, I really like this for Kelazhur. You should never lose both bunkers, even though I say that. And both bunkers take a lot of damage. First one does go down. For us, the ball starting to do a lot of damage. Repair, come on, SCBs. Oh my goodness, the second bunker falls as well. Hello, cats. No.
Yeah, those biles actually even missing, but still it's enough to dislodge those bunkers. Now Tank, that is a scary, scary unit for the side of Cham. And Kelazhur can afford, I think, to still lose some workers. He's still ahead 2 workers. So this is not, by all means, completely working out for Cham. He's super all in at this point.
Yep. I mean, right when we say that he's firing up 12 drones, where he's like, no, casters, I'm not. This was just some light pressure. I was like, come on. Not even No Regret would call this light pressure. Even he would own up to the fact that it's pretty damn all in. I gotta say, Cham did a really good job in dragging this out and eventually finding way more damage than I ever thought he would find. But I also think that's because Kelazhur, I think, really didn't want to overreact. He's like, I'm sure you're building drones at home. And then all of a sudden, a ridiculous amount of Zerglings showed up, and he's like, whoa! And he lost both bunkers, which I think was really unnecessary.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's very difficult to call it like all in. If it does enough damage and you can transition, then it's no longer an all in. So, you know, Cham has decided it isn't. It's kind of like he got called and then it was a split pot, Brody, basically.
Yeah. He went all in with Ace Deuce, got called by Ace King, but they decided to chop it up in the end. He's like, I kind of figured that would happen. No, I still think Cham is in trouble though, because yeah, he might be up 14 workers. There is so much micro potential in Stim Bio. +1 is going to finish up as well. Combat Shield is going to finish up soon. These medevacs can just bounce around, go from base to base. And I always think that's so difficult to defend with just roaches.
It really is. At the same time, Cham is 11 workers up, so he's definitely in a decent position. And if there's a map where you don't mind having roaches too much, it's this one. So he's got the backbone as well working for him, and it doesn't seem like he's switching off of it either as he's upgrading the missile attacks.
I kind of expected Kelazhur's upgrades to be a little bit further ahead than they actually are. Maybe forgot about it a little bit while he was under that much pressure, but I still think it's okay. I know that it's a very playable game for Cham at this point, and a 1-1 roach timing could be pretty devastating, but I also have the feeling that Kelazhur now knows that Cham was very serious about his aggression, and if he attacks again, he's probably even more serious. So I feel like surviving is key, and all that Kelazhur really needs is like, I feel like 80 to 85 army supply, and then I feel like you just don't lose anymore.
Yeah, it's very difficult to trade in effectively if this army from the Zerg does not scale into something to add like maybe infestors. With infestors, you can still do something like fungal bile and still trade somewhat cost efficiently. And the infestors are also very good on this map because of all the chokes. So we'll see what Cham does transition to though, because yeah, just roaches ain't gonna cut it eventually.
The Nerd Show special. Some good old roach infested. No, where's that tank going? That tank is very important. Kelazhur, where is that tank going? Oh my god, I can't believe it just lived. What is that? Like okay, why does Kelazhur not just chill at home? It's like like he's got so much supply out on the map, and I'm sure this is cool and he's buying time. And now he's gonna run into the natural as well. I have no idea why he's playing like this though. All he really needs to do is survive. It is working out. Is that enough tanks though? Is there enough bio to protect these tanks?
Yeah, I mean, he has pull. Oh, that's a lot of tanks, actually, Roddy. I'm not sure about this SCV pull out. They're out of range of the tanks right now. Maybe a little bit unnecessary. But I think Kelazhur with 4 tanks in the backline is going to kind of hold this comfortably. And all of a sudden, it's kind of a really big blow to Cham, who took damage back at home as well.
Yeah, not that much at home, actually. I mean, only a single drone went down in this game, and that was because of the Reaper. I think he lost maybe a roach or 2 and a queen, something along those lines. I really feel if all of Kelazhur's bio units were just at home, that hold goes 5 times. No, he's on sieging everything, and Cham is about to go up again. Are you kidding me? It might still be fine, because it's not that many roaches and ravages.
Actually, yeah. Blessing in disguise a little bit. Yeah, Cham thinks he can commit, and he cannot.